So welcome to this video. I thought I'd make an overview video about the Pixel 8 Pro's camera application and its brand new features, but then I thought, I didn't do any video about the iPhone's camera application and their features, so why not compare them both? And this is exactly what I want to do in this video, so let's get started. Here we have them both on the left, the iPhone on the right, the Pixel. Let's start the camera application, and this is the default camera application that you can see here. For some reason, grid lines are turned on mine. I don't remember turning it on, but you can go into settings and you have the possibility to change stuff here. And I think under Pro, no, under more settings, I have somewhere grid lines turned on. Yeah, grid type and frame hints is turned on there. Anyway, so the basic user interface is basically the same. You know this already. Swipe between the modes here. We have a time-lapse mode here on the iPhone. We have a slow-mo mode, cinematic mode for video recording, video mode, photo mode, portrait mode, and panorama mode. And that's basically it. For the photo mode, you can swipe up to get some other settings there as well. It's a bit confusing. This I can say, okay, it's flash. This here, I already don't know what it is. Maybe it's blur. I really don't know what this symbol means. And this one is, I think, live view. And this is, I think, burst mode. Or is it? No, it's like different modes that you can choose here, like standard, rich contrast, vibrant, warm, so color profiles basically that you can choose from. And yeah, aspect ratio is clear. This is, I think, this exposure. This is the timer. You see, it's inconsistent. Here it's written, this is exposure. If I'm in here, it says night. So it's night mode, or what is it? I really don't know. And then this is the timer, it's clear. And there's another color profiles that you can choose here if you want to. So yeah, this is the camera application basically that you can have here. And there's some other options here like flash that you can enable and turn off up there, which is like a bit confusing, like the moments you can turn also, or live view it's called here, which is a bit weird. Why? Anyway, this is the iPhone camera application. It's basically everything. There's some settings as well there you can dive into. Like if you go into your system settings, you have to really dive deep into your system setting, then scroll down, search for the camera application. There you have some other settings there as well. Like for example, you can set the default recording video resolution and frame rate, as well as the formats. You can also show the PAL formats like 25 frames or 50 frames per second. You can enable enhanced stabilization, action mode in lower light, HDR video, auto FPS, which is quite a nice feature, especially for low light, where you can switch down to 24 FPS if you want to get better image quality. It's worse when you start with 30 FPS and then it's switching back to 20 FPS, like I saw in another video. Then turn it off. Otherwise, the auto 30 or 60 FPS, where you can switch down to 24 FPS, is like good when you are already in low light. Lock the camera as well as lock white balance is possible here in the record video option. Record slow motion. You can choose what slow motion you want to record. It's still not possible to record 4K with the iPhone slow motion, which is a bit of a shame, I would say. And cinematic view, you can also choose whatever you like to. I think by default it's 1080p HD at 30 FPS, but you can go up to 4K 30. Then formats, you can choose high efficiency formats, which using HEVC for the video coding and HIVE for the picture photo codec, instead of JPEG and H.264, which is quite nice. You can choose the photo mode to either choose 12 or 24 megapixels on the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. ProRes resolution control in here, as well as Apple ProRes that you can turn on. If you turn on Apple ProRes, you can choose the encoding like HDR, SDR, and log. I already tested out log. This is why it's sitting at log. Otherwise, I think it's HDR by default. Let's go back to preserve settings, which is a possibility. You have the possibility to choose which settings of the camera app are preserved at each restart, which is quite nice. Customizable controls here. And we have record stereo sound, which is a possibility if you want to have stereo sound by default, so left and right channels. Otherwise, for spoken text, most likely the mono is better. You can choose it here at least. Use volume up for burst mode, you can choose. Otherwise, it's like just doing normal photo shooting. And scan QR codes is possible. You can turn it on or off and detect texts as well. You can turn on grid lines if you want to, just like here I have on my Pixel. You can even turn on the level if you like to and mirror the front camera if you want to. By default, it's not mirrored, which is quite interesting. Maybe it's getting those settings from somewhere else. And you have, of course, also for photographic styles that you can choose here. These are the different photographic styles that I showed you already. You can also choose them here in the settings with a little preview that helps you to determine what you want. Then the main camera, you can set up the various different main cameras, virtual, cropped in modes there, like pressing on the 1X multiple times gives you virtual cropped in. Other settings like 28 and 35 you can jump to directly, and you can even set one of those as a default camera sensor or lens if you're starting up the camera. Otherwise, portraits in photo mode, prioritize faster shooting, which is by default on, so intelligently adapts the image quality when rapidly moving the shutter button, something like this, which is quite interesting, and it's turned on. Lens correction, of course, and macro control, you can turn on the macro control, otherwise you can turn it off. These are the settings. This is basically everything for the iPhone. There's not much more there. Just leave it open here for a while. Let's talk about the Pixel 8 Pros, because here I think we have more settings. First of all, we have the same kind of user interface here, but with a caveat or a new setting there. Photo and video mode now on two separate buttons below those here. So if I go to video mode, you will see that all those change here to video specific modes then. And if I'm in photo mode, let's go to the far left, we have the action pan option, long exposure, portrait, normal photo, night side, which is like a night mode, and panorama option. When I'm in video mode, we have the normal video mode, we have a blur mode, we have a pan mode. Blur mode is basically like the cinematic mode on iPhone, slow motion, and time lapse. And yeah, it's also on first glance a little bit confusing if you are used to using Google Cam a bit, because all the options that usually are up here are changed and are now down here. So we have two buttons. First of all, the right button, which allows us to set certain settings. These can be advanced settings now with the Pixel 8 Pro series at least. Like for example, I can turn off night side if I want to. If I don't want night side, I can control night side here, like automatically chose 3 seconds for this exposure, but I can also go to the maximum, which is like 6 seconds. Or I can go even down like to 0, which will directly turn off night side. Or I can like say I want it to be conservatively 1 second. No, I cannot do it 1 second. I cannot in between. So I can just go to auto and max, but nothing in between here. And I have some other options, like for example, brightness control, shadow control, white balance control, focus control. So I even have like this little guideline that gives me like a help how to manually focus stuff. You can see we have some kind of focus speaking available as well, which is quite nice. So I have the possibility to manually focus here if I want to. I have shutter speed control, where I can see my shutter speeds. This goes from, 10,000s to 16 seconds max, so there's no 5-minute exposure or something like this, like I saw on the Z50S Pro from Nubia. But nevertheless, this is, I think, quite cool. I can always go back here with this button, which will set up the automatic mode again, which is like 1/10 in this case. ISO, the same. I can go up to 3200, which is not that high actually, and I can go down to 50, and I can also reset it if I want to. Yeah, those are the settings here. The focus I can change, of course. Again, this is the one that I changed, and it's like remaining there as you changed it. And then we have also reset all, which is also a nice option that we have the possibility to do such thing there as well. I can swipe down on this and go back here, and I have some more settings there for photos as well. This is like this little wrench icon. If I click on this, it will open up usually in the general tab first. We have some other options, like again night sight and flash that you can turn on here. Tap shot, which is currently unavailable for some reason. I can set up a timer, 3 and 10 seconds, the same as with the iPhone, by the way. If I go in here and show it to you, the timer settings are also like 3 and 10 seconds. Where's the 5 seconds? Where's the 5 seconds? iPhone, Pixel, I want 5 seconds, not 10 seconds. Anyway, macro focus would be possible here to choose in various different modes, like automatic mode or turn on or turn off. And I can choose also the aspect ratio here if I want to. And then I have some pro options as well. Like, for example, I can choose the resolution for photos here. And in this case, I can choose, for example, 12 megapixels or 50 megapixels, the full resolution. What is cool is when I'm going out here, you can see that above here, when I adjusted something here in the settings, I get, also when I turn on and go into Pro mode here, I get all the settings up here. Like, for example, this is the wide angle lens, f1.68 it shows me. Manual focus is turned on. 1/10 of a second is the exposure, and ISO is 6000 something. So it's higher than the 3200 that I set up because it's set to automatic here, which is quite interesting. So automatic mode allows us to use higher ISOs than the manual mode, which is a bit annoying, I would say, but it is like it is. Then we have the pro options with also RAW possibilities. So I can turn on RAW plus JPEG here if I want to, which will also create a DNG file, which is quite nice. And lens selection, I can choose here automatic or I can choose manual. So it would go automatic for things like macro shots or something like this. Then I have some more settings, and here I have all the customizability and tweak settings possibility that are available. Safe location, camera sounds I turn on, Google sound suggestions, social share options. I can choose which applications I want to share with. Button shortcuts like the volume key button, what should it do? Shutter or something else. We saw that on the iPhone as well. But frequent faces, for example, when you take top shot photos or touch and hold for top shots, for the frequent faces prioritizes the people you photograph most, which is quite interesting if you have family members or something like this and you're in a busy street and you don't want it to focus on someone's passing by, just your family members, you can do this here. We have device storage where I can choose where to store stuff, free up space, and storage safer there as well to optimize the storage there. Then some advanced settings like show dirty lens warning, store videos efficiently in H.265 format, social media depth features, so save them as well if you want to. Rich colors in photos, like for example, you can see the P3. Use display P3 color format instead of sRGB, which is like a possibility. So lots and lots of customizabilities in this new Pixel camera. Framing hints, the grid type you can set, save selfie as previewed, for example, save selfie photos as they appear in the viewer. And then video stabilizer can turn on, and audio zoom you can turn on, something that I really don't like, so I turn it off here, for example. Those are the camera settings there. So this is only the photo mode. Then in video mode, let's go to video mode, and we don't go timelapse, we go video. We also have those two custom buttons here. This one, however, is a little bit limited. You don't have the possibility to set ISO, shutter speed, or anything like this. What I really want to set, like as a Sony Xperia user that cannot find this Xperia device because it's lying somewhere else, but I have another Sony Xperia device here that I can show you. So the Xperia Pro I here, for example. I really like the customizabilities for recording video, and here I don't have those options. I can only choose exposure and white balance. These are the only options that I have here, with a little slider that allows me to do this, like to change, and then I have the possibility to go back like before. And then under settings, I have a little bit more settings. Like I turn on flash, for example, I can choose between full HD and 4K resolution, and the frame rate. Like I can choose 24, 30 and 60. I don't have PAL frame rates, which is quite interesting because I bought this device in Germany where we have PAL usually, and 25 and 50 would be the more ideal frame rates for me, but you're not able to set it up here, at least not, I don't see it here. Then 10-bit HDR I can turn on, so I can turn on HDR. As you can see, it gives you a nice little look like with HDR turned on, and this is a nice feature as well. And then we have video stabilization standard. This one I cannot choose, and locked, which is locking stuff there. Macro focus is possible in video mode, so I can choose it to automatic, automatically jumping to the ultra wide angles cropped in sensor. for macro videography, which is quite nice. And then we have speech enhancements, which I can turn on and off. These are all the settings there. Then I have some more settings, which is basically the same settings that I had before in photo mode, so nothing different here. So again, I don't have the possibility to set up, also not in advanced modes, I don't have the possibility to set up the PAL frame rates here, for example, which is, I think, a little bit of a bummer there in terms of videography. And I really wish they would add like the ISO and shutter speed options here as well in the settings. Maybe they will doing it in a future update. Then what we can see here, which is like a bit inconsistent, is the only thing that we see here is like that it's recording 4K. If I click on this 4K, I get like to the options there. If I go to Full HD, the icon on the top changes to Full HD. That's the only thing that I see. I don't see the frame rate, I don't see the ISO, I don't see even the lens that I'm using besides like here down below. Yeah, those are the settings there. Of course, there are many other options there as well, like the pan mode and other options there. Like if I go into blur mode, for example, I can choose how much blur I want to have besides the exposure and white balance here that I can set up. But these settings here are very limited. Like you see here, not much. Pan, the same. I can choose something here like exposure and white balance and have some settings here like 4K or Full HD, but this is pretty basic. The slow motion is, I think, pretty interesting because I can set up the speed. I only have 1/4 or 1/8 of a speed. It's not even written what it means then by this. And the only thing that I see is if I go to settings is not even the resolution, because here you can see Full HD, so slow motion is only supported in Full HD, same bummer as with the iPhone. Time-lapse, I can set auto here, I can set like a time-lapse 120 times, 30, 10 or 5 times, but it doesn't state to me like other camera manufacturers or other smartphone manufacturers do, like, this is more optimized for this. This might sense if you want to capture clouds moving, this might sense if you want to capture a sports event or something like this. But it's not written here, so you have to figure it out on your own or leave it at auto, which is also possible. Yeah, those are the settings here. Photo mode, of course, like portrait mode, we have some settings there. Like for night side portraits are available as well. Brightness, shadows, and white balance that you can set up there. Long exposure modes are possible as well. The brightness, shadows, and white balance I can set up here. Action pan, I can set up the brightness, shadows, and white balance. So you can see there's a pattern. There's like not much that you can configure. Otherwise, here the night side I can configure, of course, the seconds I showed you already, and panorama I cannot configure anything, even not there. So yeah, it's pretty much straightforward. The cool thing about this is optimized for one-handed use. So if I hold this here like with one hand, I can do all the actions. It's like even sometimes, because they added this row here, it's even like switching between those, it's even a little bit harder for people with smaller hands to switch lenses probably, but for me, it is working fine. So even if I'm in video mode and I want to record a video and have everything one-handedly, I have the possibility to do so. Just record and then I can switch those stuff over here. I can even go into settings here and during recording change the exposure and the white balance if I want to. So this is a possibility as well, all with one hand, as you can see here, which is quite nice of a feature, where with the iPhone it's a bit harder. So let's check at the iPhone here. Yeah, it has this nice secret Face ID. There we go. It appears to be also one-handed there, and I can switch between the lenses and so on. I can switch video. I can even record video from the photo mode, just like going up here, and it's recording now. I can switch as well, which is nice, but I don't have any other options here during recording, just only the zoom here that I can adjust. Yeah, it is a bit harder because it's a bit hidden, like extra features or something. Like it looks like they appear on the top, so you have to press this button. Actually, what you can do is also like swipe out here. This is not always working. Swipe. There was a swipe feature. There's a swipe feature actually when I'm holding it in portrait mode. Maybe I can do it. Yes, when I swipe, you can see then I have those options here as well. When I'm in landscape mode, I should be able to swipe as well, but it's not working, as you can see here. So this swipe is not working for some reason, not this swipe, up swipe, down swipe. So this is like also a major bummer. So I did not know about it. I thought I can just swipe also in landscape mode, but no, apparently you can only swipe when you are in portrait mode, and then you can swipe, it's not always working. Yeah, weird. I don't know what's going on there. So you can see, there we go. Now I can swipe. So I have to really nail the point there to swipe. Now I can swipe as well. So I figured out I cannot swipe like this. from here, from the black, but I have to be on one of those options and then swipe up, for example, to go to those settings, which is like a bit annoying, I would say. And but it's possible. I can change some settings here as well. But all, like I said, especially in video mode, is like not very useful because you are not able to do this during recording. As you can see, they hide the elements there. So I'm not able to do this during recording. Yeah, so this is like a short comparison between the camera apps of both. And now I think you notice when I do the camera comparison that especially camera review, camera comparison about pictures and videos, why the Pixel has a bit of a higher rating than the iPhone, because the iPhone really limits the things that you can really do in the camera application and things that you can change, especially during recording, but also before recording in photo mode. I don't have any options here in photo mode to change much of the photo itself, like the ISO, the shutter speed. I don't have those options here. And here the Google Pixel 8 Pro, at least the Pro version, is offering me such options here. So what do you think about this short little video about the two camera apps? Short little video, I think it's 20 minutes already. Nevertheless, I think it is useful for some people. Give it a thumbs up. And if you like and subscribe, you can also write down in the comments, if you don't know what to write down, which camera was filming this right now, because I have a special camera that is filming this right now. And yeah, you can guess it in the comments. That's it. Until the next time. Bye.